Some of you may or may not know this about me. But for me, God is my father. Didn't have a dad growing up. But then I look back on it and I always did. I always had a father. And he's been a good father to me, a good father. He's always been there for me, always provided for me, always protected me, always disciplined me perfectly, always held me accountable, filled me with the Spirit and showed me the decisions that I need to make, both right and wrong. Like, it's brilliant. He's a brilliant father. And recently, I had a heart issue that came up, and two of my arteries were blocked. Well, the two main arteries go to my heart. One was 100% blocked, and one was 85. And they wanted to do open heart surgery, which scared the crud out of me, the idea of that. And luckily, my wife found a doctor who was doing a different procedure. So we went through that whole process, but kind of being diagnosed, waiting, switching doctors, getting second opinions, third opinions, fourth opinions. All this took about 6-7 months. So the whole time for 6 to 7 months, I felt like I had a bomb strapped around my neck that could just go off any minute now, any minute. Maybe I live, maybe I die. I don't know. And it really freaked me out, just being honest. Kind of put me in a little state of depression a little bit. Made me, like, I remember one afternoon talking to my wife about like what I wanted at my funeral and stuff. Like, it was just terrible place to be in your head, terrible place. And after my procedure, when I woke up in the hospital the next morning, I immediately felt better. Like, for the first time, blood was circulating in maybe a decade. I don't know how long this has been a problem. But I changed in that moment. My relationship with God changed in that moment. But I woke up different. My relationship with him was different because what I saw was that he had my life in his hands. Literally, not figuratively, but literally, like he held my life in his hands. And he was handing it back to me. And I share this with you because I've made a few videos about this. But in that moment, I agreed to talk about whatever he wants to talk about on this channel. That I was going to be a trumpet, blasting. And since then, many of you have commented, and I understand this. I do understand it. Many of you commented, like, people are getting very offended by the things I'm saying on this channel. Very offended. Many comments. People talk about how, like, they don't like my content anymore, or they are angry with the thing I said, and it's just the deal I made. Like, here's what I know. Jesus was so offensive to the religious people that they beat him and nailed him to a cross. I do know that. So if I'm saying something and it makes you just so mad that it makes you just want to rip your shirt and yell blasphemy, well, I'm doing good. Like, I'm on track. Like, this is something that is going very well in my eyes. Because every single apostle went through the exact same, they went through this moment in time where people were just, we're going through the book of Acts right now. And when Stephen spoke, it cut them to the heart, and they gnashed their teeth, and they dragged him out and stoned him to death because he spoke the truth. Through the Holy Spirit, he spoke the truth. And it made them angry, made them so angry that they gnashed their teeth. It cut them to the heart, and they murdered him because of it. Almost every single prophet in the Bible, hunted and hated. I mostly kind of want to continue to make these videos about every month or so, just to say, hey, I know it's offending you. I know but if it's a truth, that is between you and God. And I'm just the messenger, So this is something that I really just find necessary to say, because I don't mind offending anybody. That's not it. Because when I first started making videos 8, 9, 10 years ago, right away, I made like 2 videos and people would start saying really hateful things. And I remember kind of commenting like, boy, that's really hateful. And my wife told me, she said, you know, Mark, if you're going to put yourself out there and people are going to hate it no matter what you say. So if you can't handle it, don't do it. And I realized in that moment, that is so true. So true. And I firmly believe, just from really speaking publicly in general as a teacher and a principal, it doesn't matter what you say. You can go up on a stage in front of 1,000 people and tell them that you like chocolate pie and turn around and walk away. And there's going to be a bunch of them super angry that you didn't pick apple, or, you know, it's just how humans are. So it doesn't bother me, but it still affects me as far as a human, because even as like a teacher and a principal and a father, like I desire for people to kind of enjoy their time while I'm around, if that makes sense. Like if somebody's around me, I desire for them to enjoy that time. And I desire that when I make this content as well. But there's gonna be times, and a lot more of them, when God says, I want you to say this thing. And even in my head, I'm thinking, that's not gonna go well. People are not gonna receive that well. But it doesn't matter. They never did. And they never will. Until that moment when Christ returns and every knee bows, they won't. Most people will reject it, and they will hate it, and it'll cut them to the heart, and they'll gnash their teeth, and they'll just want to kill you. They'll just literally like rip their shirts and yell, blasphemy. Like freaks them out, man. So I think it's important, kind of as a disclaimer, so to say, that this is what I'm doing. Like, it's just what I'm doing. And if it is offending you, I recommend you keep paying attention. Like normally if somebody doesn't like something, I say, don't watch it, you know. That's all you got to do, just turn it off. But these are the truths of God, you know. And here's the thing. Will I get them right all the time? No, of course not. I'm a human. When I was a teacher, I was a science teacher, and I had a saying, if a human does it, there is going to be errors. You know, so your job as a scientist was try to figure out, what errors are you actually making? So I understand I'm going to make mistakes. Please know that. I understand. Like there's times when I even put out videos, these are the top 5 things I got wrong this year or something. Like I do that all the time because I think it's important to correct yourself. Even as a teacher, you know, if I was teaching something, there were many times where I'd get home and I'd look it up. I'm like, oh, I got that wrong, you know? So I wouldn't act like I just knew everything. I'd go in the next day and say, okay, that thing I told you, here, put a line through it. I was wrong. Write down this thing. This is the correct thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But what I do know is that my heart is to speak the truth of the wonderful works of God. Yes, I know it'll offend you. Yes, I know it'll just make you so angry. You just want to rip your shirt and yell blasphemy. I know that. That's okay. That is okay. Because in the end, really what me and God are trying to achieve through this channel is just to blow trumpet, just spread his word, point out the things that are going on in the world as he advances his kingdom here on earth as it is in heaven. That's what it's all about. It's what it's all about.